So, I want to know how many of our fans are playing the new Pokemon Go app. We could talk about it, but only if they were interested.
I didn't know if I would be interested in it, and I am shocked at how compelling it is.
It does. It sucks you in, and it makes you want to play more.
Could this change society?
Oh, yeah, because the eggs are in kilometers. Like, to hatch an egg, you have to walk a certain number of kilometers. It might actually get Americans to use the metric system or think of things in kilometers.
Yeah, that, or we could even start interacting with people in a different way.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about, like, trading 20 drowsies for a croissant. You know, like if I collect enough drowsies, can I exchange them for a croissant at your coffee shop?
That either sounds awesome or like a terrifying dystopia.
Yeah, probably the latter.
This is HIMYM Superfans. Hey there, Chris Venezia.
Hello, James Hamilton.
This is the show where we talk about the CBS comedy How I Met Your Mother.
Yep, and as always, our goal is to ruin the show for you.
Spoiler alert, we're going to spoil plot points for the entire series.
And if you'd like, go back and listen to Season 1. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
So this week, how about we talk about Ted Mosby Architect, a.k.a. who the hell is Barney?
Yes, this one originally aired October 9th, 2006. It was written by Kristen Newman. Chris, who directed this one?
It was directed by Pam Fryman, who got into a fight with Bays and Thomas about the relevance of the Field of Dreams reference in this episode, only to have them eventually discover that Fryman was thinking of the film Field of Streams. Field of Streams.
Oh, that's a completely different film. Co-starring in this one is Joe Manganiello, who plays Brad. One of my favorite side characters.
Yeah, he is a lot of fun. He's a very, very funny actor who also works very, very hard on his physique.
Oh yeah, he's known to be sculpted in all of his other roles. He was in a Schwarzenegger movie.
He was in Magic Mike. Not that I ever saw that or anything.
Yeah.
We got Don Olivieri, who plays Anna, the kickboxing instructor.
Yeah, the girl with the smackable ass.
Yes, that's the young lady.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens in this episode?
Well, Chris, in this one, Ted and Robin have their first fight as a couple, and Robin is convinced that Ted is cheating on her after Barney plays the architect angle and finds out that it really does work.
Right. Ted Mosby, architect. This episode, as Mother Fan Dan would say, is the one where architects are hot.
Oh. If you're binge watching with us, this is the one where Ted and Robin are shown as a couple. And Marshall and Lily don't share a single scene together.
Oh, I didn't notice that. But we did talk about off-screen how Marshall's barely in this episode.
Yeah.
So that makes sense that they didn't really have time. So James, what was your most memorable moment?
Well, it's got to be Kara, this minor character that Brad is involved with. She only appears in this episode. Her final appearance is in the next episode. But she's mentioned again as the love of Brad's life, the one who broke his heart, then gave him purpose again by taking him back, and then broke his heart again, and then repeated that process until Brad became such a narcissist that he was willing to do whatever it took to succeed, and became the evil lawyer that we see later in the series.
Yeah, I guess she messed him up real good.
Oh yeah. Turns out she is also the Attorney General in future Ted's world.
On the grounds of shut up. So I like that when Barney has a fantasy that features Ted, like we saw in The Purple Giraffe, like when Ted is talking to the foxy young thing.
All my cool architecture stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like Ted in Barney's fantasies acts completely different than Ted does in real life. And so if you go back and you watch this, you can see Ted Mosby Architect never act like Ted. And so, like, it's not that he's had, like, some sort of mental snap and, like, he's decided, like, I'm a cheater now, and I'm basically exactly like how Barney pictures me in all of his fantasies. It makes so much more sense that, like, Ted Mosby, Architect, is in fact Barney. Yeah. But it's fun to go back and, like, watch him be like, oh, I'm super douchey, but not in the ways that Ted is douchey, in completely different ways.
They might have pulled the wool over my eyes the first time I saw this because of nothing good happens after 2 a.m. Maybe Ted could be pushed to the edge where he'd snap and start to chase some tail. Maybe flirt.
Yeah.
Maybe he would be totally capable of flirting, maybe.
Well, it goes so far that it seems like he went home with somebody. It's not like he just spent the night flirting with a woman, which Robin is okay with.
Yeah.
Also, we find out, which is fun. This Ted is too different, and what's great about it is Ted is kind of douchey, but this is Barney pretending to be Ted. So he's like, oh, well, the sunrise, and I have the hands of God, and the sculpting, and the blah-de-blah. It's like Barney is pretending to be what he thinks Ted is like.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you're like.
And you can also tell because he'll just say historical architectural figures' names.
Right, doesn't know anything about them.
No other context, just blah, 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 waterfalls, and full Lloyd Wright, and blah, blah.
He's like, and yeah, I would draw you, but you might end up looking like a mid-century tri-level.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't have to know if that's even a thing.
Point to that right now. What is it?
Right, and he doesn't have to do that.
There's 6 pictures, point to one.
He probably thought about it a little bit, because, like, Barney always has a plan. Like, he'll never get caught in a lie. Right. I don't know how he'd get out of that, but he would.
Yeah.
He would get out of it.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. Hey, folks. Thanks for subscribing to the podcast.
It's been a lot of fun making this show for you all, but it has been and continues to be a lot of work.
And many of you have nice things to say and share with us on Facebook and on Twitter.
And we want to thank you for listening. As we continue with our podcast of Ted Mosby Architect, we hope you'll take this opportunity to hit the share button on your app or computer.
Yeah, those shares are how we know that our hard work is paying off.
It feels good when we get a lot of shares.
Yeah, like when you're working as a bouncer at a club and someone accidentally grabs you with $20 and you weren't asking for money.
That is just so awesome when that happens.
So, what happens in this episode?
So the first thing we see is an image from the first episode of this season where Ted and Robin are doing it on the drafting table.
In the living room, which is forbidden.
Which is nice because at the end of the episode, they're doing it on a draft table in his office.
Yep. So one of them is into the drafting table, like as a doing it spot.
Or both, for different reasons.
Yes, I can see how Ted would like it because, it's like, I'm an architect and I get to do this, and Robin likes the danger of, like, we're doing it at his work or in the living room.
Yeah.
Marshall's in the other room. He could come out at any moment. This is wildly inappropriate.
I can also imagine that Robin is thinking, I know he thinks I'm into it because it's architecture and I don't care. And Ted is oblivious.
Right. Almost like she's duping him in a way, and that's funny. Yeah, I mean, she put up with a lot of his crap at the beginning of the relationship, like when he's like trying to figure stuff out. Yeah, lefty like.
Yeah.
Her left knee is an erogenous zone.
Right, yeah. Good job, Ted.
Yes, so he's kind of a doof.
This is the beginning of their first fight, and I like this little scene where Barney puts his earbuds in just as Lily takes hers out.
He's not interested in hearing about any of Ted's relationships, it would seem. I still like, in season 1, where he's like, that Natalie, yeah, she's good times. Like, he's like finally supportive of a relationship, and Ted's like about to break up with her. But that aside, Barney can actually still hear. Like, I don't think he's listening to music. He's bobbing his head like he's listening to music. I don't think that he is, because he can still hear perfectly fine. is when Ted tells Marshall that the skyscraper looks like a dick. Barney takes them out of his ears immediately because he absolutely heard that.
I want to contribute to that. Also in this part, Ted is actually pretty worried about his career here. He's trying to reach out to someone who will listen to his architecture stuff, and apparently the other two guys, they'll laugh and giggle about it looking like a dick, but he wants to find someone like Robin and say, hey, I'm a little terrified my career's in the balance because this building looks like a dick. Can you say, that sucks, I'm sorry, is there something I can do?
And Robin admits that she's not any good at relationships. There are people, but it seems like the only thing that they do is complain. Like, you can only put up with that for so long before you don't want to hear it anymore, so I can see Robin's side of that. But yeah, I mean, Ted's talking about, like, I could possibly lose my job, but even that, I'm sorry, that does suck. Do you want to get a movie later? Which is what Robin does. Like, she should be nicer because that's just what we do in relationships, but I totally get why she would feel that way.
She says that my news stories are more interesting.
That's where she crossed the line. Like, my stories are interesting, your stories suck.
I just had an idea. What if she's not interested in hearing about Ted's office politics drama because a lot of her news stories are about how many dead people there are?
Well, that's another thing. She is a news reporter. Like, her stories actually are more interesting than Ted may or may not lose his job this week. Tune in at 9 to find out.
Yeah.
Again, nothing happened.
Yes.
No change today.
Nope.
Yeah, whereas Robin reports on, like, people being killed.
Yeah.
Like a bus explodes or something. Let's move on.
So I like the nail salon here. It makes an appearance. It is clearly a different set than the one that Barney goes to in the episode Atlantic City.
Which is coming up pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Actually.
That one accommodated the entire cast.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes, they all get their nails done. I like this act a lot. My favorite part is where Robin starts to freak out a little bit. It's like, no, Ted's going dancing. Dancing is bad. Dancing leads to sex. And Lily's like, did you grow up in that Footloose town? And I'm like, no, we have to ban dancing. Dancing has been banned from the town.
And that's the movie that has the angry preacher who is played by John Lithgow.
Oh, yeah.
Who plays Barney's dad.
Barney's dad being missing is why he's so freaked out about Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Robin's go-to bad movie is Field of Dreams.
How old was she when she watched it?
Well, that's true, too.
Was she ever a 12-year-old boy?
Yes. Yeah, like her dad thought she was. It's not going to mean as much to her as it is to any guy who watches it.
Right.
So, Robin doesn't really get Field of Dreams, didn't finish it. And that's actually important. It's not that she finished it and didn't get it. It's that she didn't finish it. That at least explains why you don't get it. Like, she should... Right. She of all people should get that. Wish I could connect with my dad in some way.
Yes.
If only I could have just played catch with him. They don't play baseball in Canada. That's another reason she's not going to get that.
They could go back and rewrite some way where Robin says, well, Field of Dreams, it's just clearly a ripoff of...
Fleur and McElroy.
Fleur and McElroy hit the ice, where they're like a ragtag hockey team of ghost hockey players.
African Canadians.
Yes. But we do know Ted clearly likes it because he loves the Indians. That's the only thing he and his dad talk about.
Yeah, he seems to get a little choked up about it when he's talking about Barney does for sure because John Lithgow. And Marshall seems like he's probably okay, which I like because he's really close to his dad and they play baseball whenever he goes back. There's not a part of his childhood missing, like, I wish my dad had paid more attention to me.
They're probably more of a Rudy family.
So Barney complains about Marshall's weird all-guy parties, which I thought was funny because it turns out it's a poker game. And like when I went to poker games, actually ladies were allowed. So like the joke doesn't really work for me. I don't hate the joke. Actually, I think it's funny. Oh, your parties are sausage fest, Marshall. It's like, that was a poker game. No women allowed.
If I was invited to a poker game and I showed up and there were women there, I would be surprised.
Okay.
Unless someone told me ahead of time, this is not a cigar munching, cursing, farting, hairy, sweating poker game. This is, you can come to my den and meet my wife, and we'll all have some homemade nachos.
And watch some guac. Yeah.
Yeah, and homemade guac.
Yes. That is interesting. I mean, the poker games that I've ever been to, the women were allowed, so I don't know. It doesn't work quite as well for me, but I did think that it was funny that, like, that was Barney's hang-up about that party. Like, he wanted some women at the poker game. Like, it's weird and it doesn't quite work on any level. Who wants to play some poker? So, Carl would be okay with being with a woman who has sex with him for free beer as long as she's into it.
That's a perfectly fine policy to me.
And Lily takes the free beer, as far as I know. She doesn't actually sleep with Carl. I don't know, he gets to be kind of weird and pervy in this episode, which he's not most of the time. In fact, there's arguably an episode where he tells Marshall to stop being weird, and this is a nice bar where women come here, they can have a drink with their friends, they don't get hit on or creeped out by Marshall Erickson's. So Carl's okay with creeping as long as it's him and as long as it's a regular. Robin wants Ted to get the talky talk out of the way with women so she can have the good stuff when he's done. That actually reminded me of when she was with Mike in Slutty Pumpkin. They had a terrible evening. She's like, hey, do you want to come over? He's like, what? We had a terrible night. She's like, I don't care. Have some fun later.
Come over for some happy bang time.
That's still kind of Robin's deal. Even though she's in this committed, serious relationship that is challenging for her favorite part is the doing it.
Well, yeah, and that's great for both of them, I think, especially at this point. It reminded me of another point in the series where they're talking about Lily's trip to France. 3 months, no sex, kill me now.
Right.
And then they both thought the other one was all into the talking.
Right. Robin's not into the talky talk. She, to a point, was okay with Ted even flirting with other women as long as, she knows who he comes home to.
Yeah.
You can look and you can talk. It's like a no touching policy.
Right.
As long as you don't touch, we're okay.
Mm-hmm. This is my favorite line of the episode, Chris. Seriously, who wants to shave my ass?
He turns out to be a Supreme Court justice.
Yes.
I like that because he's resistant to it earlier. Brad's like, hey, we should shave your ass later. He's like, no. And by the time that Robin and Lily get there a few hours later, he's got like a utility belt with empty beers.
Was it also like a tighty-whitey sort of situation?
Yeah, or like a man diaper.
Yeah.
I'd say adult diaper, but not like it depends. Somebody took a white cloth and made a diaper, like a toga, but only for the jungular area. And and he's got the utility belt around that, and the shaving cream can. It's who wants to shave my ass? He's ready to go. The club, Anna convinces Ted Mosby Architect to go to Posers, which is very fitting. How can we name something in the episode relevant to what's going on in the episode?
Posers is for chumps.
Chumps are lame.
No, lame is closed.
Lame is awesome. Closed is awesome.
No, awesome is closed.
Awesome's a gay bar.
Only on Tuesdays. Chris, real quickly before we move on, I noticed that Robin says literally in this episode.
Yeah, that's one of Robin's things. She does say, Ted's literally been talking about this all week or something like that. That can't be true.
So the big part of the episode, Chris, is, of course, the reveal, the twist that Barney is Ted Mosby Architect.
That is probably the most important thing going on in the episode. Robin's going crazy. As the episode goes on, she gets crazier and crazier. We reveal Barney's Ted Mosby Architect. That's fun, seeing him tied up there, and you think it's going to be Ted, or you're is it going to be Ted? I think you're supposed to assume that it is.
Yeah, and then of course it's Barney. Who's oh, it's Barney. And he's tied up. Okay, of course everything makes sense.
Yeah, before he even explains it, you're sort of putting the puzzle pieces together on your own.
And I loved where they repeated the scenes that had, Radner as Ted, and then they showed him again with Neil as Ted Mosby Architect.
I like that, and then it also reminded me that nobody talks about, oh yeah, you mean the guy in the suit? Oh, no, that would be Barney. No, I'm sure it was Ted Mosby Architect. Like, well, either he suited up or Barney is pretending to be Ted. No one says that because, we need the episode to work. But I thought that was funny. Like, all these times, that we get to see Neil as Ted Mosby Architect, nobody seems to comment on his clothes.
That would have clued them in real quick.
The reason why Barney did this is not just to prove that the Ted Mosby Architect thing works, which is what Marshall thinks. It's actually that he's had some recent bad press on the World Wide Web, so he's taking a TO on the whole using his real name thing.
Yeah. They lay the groundwork here with Barney's form letter, Dear Resident.
Yeah, he can't remember her name. He's like, it starts with an A. I'm like, it does, actually. It's Anna, and you're really close. There's no time, though. Yeah. There's no time. He has to get it done and get out of there. So, yes, Dear Resident.
Yes, Dear Resident, I'm a ghost. You'll never see me again unless you keep your figure in 10 years.
Right.
And this woman goes on and founds Ted Mosby is a jerk.com.
Yeah, and she's one of the top 4 possible candidates in the final 4 for the bracket. We were talking about this before we started recording, that I think that what Barney did to her is terrible, but I don't know that she's top 4. Like, I don't know that she should beat out Fake Baby.
It's Fake Baby.
It's Fake Baby! I was there. It's Fake Baby. I don't know that it beats that out. She seems like a really, really nice, cool, fun person, which is why this sort of sucks. Barney plays her like this and pretends to be somebody else, uses a fake name, leaves a pretty insulting form letter that says resident. He couldn't even remember her name, which she said multiple times.
Yeah.
And then the whole I was a ghost kind of thing. That's why she's upset. But I don't know that she's top 4.
Why she's so persistent is a bit of a mystery, because Barney even says to one of the other ones, if I left you alive on dry land, transportation, I was doing you a favor.
Yeah, because there's one that that doesn't end up in the top 4, because I'm guessing that he can't find her. He talks to Robin's friend during that scene, as his human moment, and he's like, actually, I think I sold a woman one time, I shook a man's hand, and she went with him, and never saw her again. So, that's literally the worst thing. Yes. Literally the worst one.
That is literally.
But he can't find her to apologize, and he's pretty sure it's not her for some reason. Yeah, he's done some crappy things. The fact that she's this upset, has every right to feel that way, but he did worse to other people. I don't know that makes it any better. So Lily's been using this whole opportunity to teach Robin how to live, and how relationships work and how they should work. And I'm guilty of that too sometimes. I'm like, someone should do this or they should not do that. And really, people just need to figure out their own stuff on their own terms. And that's probably more true than anything. But I feel like Lily sort of needs to be an expert in this episode, because I've done that. After a breakup, I'll be like, here's what you're doing wrong in your relationships, because then it makes me feel good, I'm good at relationships, to sort of justify the horrible ending of the last one.
Well, you're exercising your relationship muscles.
Mm-hmm.
They've atrophied here for Lily, so she's sort of living through Robin and just gets a little bit of her fix.
Yeah, and she says that she wishes that she'd been crazy and irrational over the last few months, and she hasn't been able to do that once, and she wishes that she could, and so she gets to live vicariously through Robin, who, by the point that she's going into another woman's apartment to kick her ass with no concrete evidence, but a lot of circumstantial evidence.
Yeah.
You're going to go kick somebody's ass, in her own home.
Yes, you're going to commit a home invasion and assault.
Yes.
On a kickboxing instructor.
Yeah.
Good luck, lady.
So Lily gets to live vicariously through Robin, and she'll get an opportunity in a few episodes to go ahead and be crazy and jealous, even not being in a relationship.
Robin, meanwhile, she's growing in this episode as well. She sort of has to come to terms with the fact that she's in a relationship now. She hasn't been in one for a while. She's learning again how to be a supportive partner, how to be a girlfriend, essentially.
Yeah, she is learning. She says, I'm not any good at this. I don't know how to do it. She's actually arguably doing a great job in spite of that. Like, what they've been doing has been working for the most part, especially if this is their first fight. And she comes a little unhinged, a little bit. This reminds me of, like, the stories that you hear on the internet where, like, a person thinks that their significant other is cheating, finds some pretty good evidence of it, and then cheats themselves, and then, like, finds out that the first person didn't cheat in the first place. Kind of thing. At least that didn't happen. Like, Robin's solution was like, I'm going to go kick both of their asses in her apartment. Instead of like, I'm going to go bang somebody else because she says, I've had 7 opportunities since I started dating Ted, and we were exclusive. 7 opportunities, no 8, and 2 of them would surprise you. You never find out who those were.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, she had opportunities to cheat and didn't. So it's good that didn't happen, because I don't know that Ted would have been okay with that.
Talk about a girl with a smackable ass.
Robin or Anna?
Both of them.
That's true. So the club, Posers, it's okay. Literally, it's okay. It's the club. It's the same club. It's not the one in the St. Patrick's Day episode. But also, like, the law school apartment, maybe Brad's apartment. Take a look at that apartment. I bet that they paint that set and use it for many other apartments on the show.
Oh my god, I bet that's like part of like a modular thing, and they just swap them around and put them in different spots and just put plants somewhere else, or a bookcase, or
even like the kitchen counter.
Yeah, just
like, you take that out, open concept. Yeah. Put it back, totally different apartment.
It's probably the same apartment you've seen on every other sitcom.
Yeah, right, yes. It's like Elliot's apartment.
Yeah.
And on Scrubs. Like, it actually looks kind of like that. It's got a similar layout to that. The camera angles are different, but yeah, it could be the exact same thing, like that you just buy from the apartment set store.
Universal Studios.
Yes, it's Universal, all right. Yeah. So in this last little bit, Anna's reading the letter. It's funny. She reads it, like, she doesn't look like she's upset much of the time while she's reading it until she gets to the end. Who the hell's Barney?
She had to do some detective work to find that letter, because if you watch the scene, Neil drops it between the table and the wall.
Oh.
Falls on the floor.
No, I didn't notice that.
Not even in the path between the shower and the bed.
She just comes back, she's like, wait, where's that guy that I left tied to the bedpost?
Yeah.
Also, like...
And why did it sound like there were 2 other people in here walking around and talking?
Well, she was in the shower. Although, I guess if I was in the shower and there were 2 people, depending on what they sounded like, I could be like, wait, holy crap, who's in my apartment? Who would want to remain tied to the bed while somebody else goes and takes a shower? Like, how boring. Like, can he reach his cell phone at least? So he can, like, play a game on there or something? Maybe, like, catch a Pokemon or something?
But maybe he just kind of got caught up in a play, and he decided to play it through, and it normally works out. And he seemed like he was on his way towards escaping. Like,
he was trying. Yeah, he's like, I just need some nails. Yeah. I don't have any nails. Yeah. James, have you ever seen an ass that looks better than most faces?
I have seen, well, I can't say most faces, no. I will say I have seen a really fine ass, and I've seen plenty of asses that are better than the faces they're attached to.
Oh, yeah, that can happen for sure. And she was kind of a pretty, like, she was. Like the woman with the really big smile.
No, big stupid smile.
It's like,
big stupid smile girl.
And yeah, she was pretty enough. So that is one heck of an ass.
Yeah. My number 1 ass of all time, Chris, it's got to be Miranda from Mass Effect 2.
Oh, yes, it's genetically engineered ass.
You know that second cutscene after...
No, it's all of them.
Ridiculous.
She's always filmed from behind.
Yes.
Oh, EA. You know what you're doing.
Just something about hexagon spandex in the future.
Right.
Yeah, I love Brad. He's kind of a douche, but not too douchey. He's kind of cool. I kind of like him.
Yeah, he is. He actually doesn't get a name in this episode. He does in the credits because they already had the next episode written up too, where he gets a name. But in this one, the only thing that he's referred to is like drunk law dude.
The drunk law dude. Come here.
Remember Robin's talking to him. but he does come back. In other words, Brad he's a fun character because he's actually a funny, smart actor.
He's in the Pee-wee movie on Netflix.
There's a Pee-wee movie?
The new Pee-wee movie on Netflix?
On Netflix.
Yeah. You've not heard this?
It's not the old Pee-wee movie that they just put on Netflix?
No, it's a 2016 Pee-wee movie starring Pee-wee and Joe Manganiello.
All right, Pee-wee, I'll watch your movie with Brad.
I got about 45 minutes into it.
Oh, okay. All you gotta do is beat that. Okay. So, James, could this actually be a Robin episode? Because we have not had one yet in the entire series. There's not been one episode so far that has been a Robin episode.
There's a sparkle in my mind about an important episode featuring Robin coming up, but this is like the first Robin episode where it's her perspective on the relationship. We've heard so much about what Ted wants and how Ted's going to get what Ted gets, and now Ted's got the girl, and here's how that's going. How's it going for Robin? This is her time to show her side of the relationship, and she's new to it, and she's kind of been pressured into it, and she's reacting a little negatively.
Yeah, definitely a Robin episode, and I want to point out that in many of the Ted episodes that we've done, in Season 1 and the few episodes that we've done for Season 2, most of them I've said that Ted is a self-sabotager, and we talk about like how he's got distorted thinking, and he's a creeper, and he needs to knock something off, and those are all Ted-heavy episodes. This one, Ted is totally on the ball. He's totally, he's not sabotaging.
Motherfucker's at work, bitch!
Yeah, it's like Ted is at work being responsible. He's not...
he's working late night on that penis building.
He is working on the cornices.
Yes.
He is not sabotaging anything. He's actually trying really hard to make this relationship work. He doesn't understand why Robin doesn't want to listen to him. He has to work on this thing, so he does that. He doesn't go out. He doesn't cheat. He doesn't try to hit on the young lady with the smackable ass.
Right.
And Robin is the one that's being crazy. Like the one that we can identify and say, you are the one that needs to take a step back here. And normally we give that to Ted. Actually, arguably not in much of the episode because even the Ted Mosby Architect stuff isn't him.
Right.
So it's definitely a Robin episode, and she's the one that needs to, dial it back a little bit.
Right, yeah. Nice that she gets an episode where she gets to come to terms with a change because she's so often helping other characters come to terms with change, like she did with Marshall in Where Were We? With the shooting the guns.
Right.
She was taking care of him, and no one's really reached out to take care of her.
Yeah, she does usually bring perspective to the rest of the cast.
Until now, when Lily fills that role. Yes,
that here's how you live. The crazy part is the best part. It lets you know that you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
If you're not acting crazy, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, just go get some donuts.
Right, I did like that. I did like that she gets some donuts and some coffee. Yeah, it's a very Canadian apology.
And do it on the drafting table.
And then let's do it on the drafting table. But she actually, it's after they have this really sweet moment where future Ted is talking about, that building that I showed you kids? That building that's really important that I designed? Well, this is the first time that I showed it to anyone, and it's to Robin. And that's why so much of this show is about Ted and Robin, and I really like Tracy, and I do still wish that she wasn't killed off for the rest of the story. But Ted and Robin's lives, they were a huge part of the most important parts of each other's life. Ted's the only person that I showed that building to was Robin, and it meant a lot to him, and you can actually see that it means a lot to her. That she's not only impressed with it, but she understands that this is something important, really important to him, that he's sharing with her and only her, and it is rich and it is deep, and then they do it on the drafting table. They're so close. They're in the thick of each other's lives.
Robin is the reason that building exists.
Because she encourages him?
Because he was the first person who he showed it to, and she reacted very well, very nice. If he had showed it to her when she'd come home the other night, here's what I did at work. He's like, oh, it's boring. He might not have had the confidence he needed to break it out at the pivotal moment, and that building got him all the other work in his life. And so, as you said, she's been around in these important moments of his life. So I'm hearing a little bit of finale justification coming from you.
Yeah, I know, and let's keep that to a minimum. Yeah, it's hard not to see that. Like when you're looking at these two characters, you're looking at these two actors in this scene, and he's like, this is why Robin will always matter to me. Because like she was there during this very important thing, especially in this moment where like he's questioning, can Robin pull her weight in this relationship? Is she just gonna say that like everything, all my complaining is dumb and she wants out of it? And she's like, no, this is awesome and you should absolutely do this. And I'm so proud of you and impressed with your work. He'll never forget that, like as long as he lives. And that's why the show is about Ted and Robin.
Yeah.
We don't get to see the important things that Tracy does with Ted other than make him some babies.
Right. The series is about the timeline that they were together, and this was an important time in his life.
You know, Robin gives Ted like the confidence to challenge Walter White when he's like, you know, really trying to push that penis building, and he shows the, you know, his architectural idea, you know, to the contractor.
You're goddamn right. That's all we had to say about this one, folks. What do you have to say?
If you are on Facebook, leave us a note on our Facebook group. The address is tedmosbyisajerk.com.
Actually, no, I changed it back to facebook.com/groups/HIMYM superfans.
All right, well, then where do people tweet at us?
That would be at HIMYM_James.
And if you like the podcast, all we ask is that you like, comment, subscribe, share, upvote, retweet, and give us a lucky penny at thatisinteresting.com.
Yeah, we get paid in likes, shares, and lucky pennies, which is still much better than when I had that job in Alaska and I worked for Exposure.
Like exposure was your pay?
Yeah.
All right, well, that must have been rough. Please give us those shares and likes, and we'll be back next week with World's Greatest Couple.
And check the Facebook group all week for new stuff. Studying law. Making a responsible choice for my future.
Well, it's not what they're doing down that night.
No, we're getting drunk.
Shaving each other's asses.
Gotta shave his ass.
We're not shaving my ass.